This is great. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you fine. How are you?
Yeah, this is great. Wow, this is so great.
It's it's an amazing thing to see you. And what
Yeah.
I don't understand is, what is this? Is this your show? Are you interviewing me? Am I interviewing you? Is this some sort of practical joke?
Well, no, no. This is. I'm here just to talk to you.
Oh,
We're just some friends catching up, and this is wonderful. It's wonderful. I love the hat that you're wearing. It's a great
oh,
choice.
thank you, thank you,
It's a
thank you.
great choice. It's one of the great hats. It's very Popeye Doyle. It really reminds me of. I always felt that you should have been in French Connection. You would have been a great. You would have been a great Popeye. Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman's wonderful. He's wonderful, but I
Right.
think you would have been a great Popeye Doyle.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think I could have done something with it, but I think at that particular time, my hands were kind of shaky because I wasn't taking enough of fruit. I wasn't having enough fructose. So my
Yeah, do you,
hands
do
were
you, do you, do you
shaky.
eat a lot of fruit? Are you eating a lot of fruit now? I hope you're eating more fruit now.
I
It's
eat a
very
lot of
important.
I eat a lot of bananas.
That's great. That's
Mm.
great. Bananas are great. That's great potassium, and I almost made a film about bananas. I wanted to put you. You remember we talked about this after we did Hook. We did Hook
Right,
together,
of course, of course.
and you were so great. You were so great in that.
Oh,
You were so
so
wonderful in
sweet.
that.
Thank
You were
you.
so perfect. You were Captain Hook. But we talked about making a movie about bananas. Do you remember this? Do you
I
remember
do, I
anything about
do,
this?
I do. And the catch line was something about potassium too, but which by the way is what everybody says about bananas. This is no slight to you, but people always say, "Oh, lots of potassium in there." Well, but they're also
Yeah.
yellow. They're beautiful.
Well,
They're
they are
just
beautiful. They're beautiful yellow. It's wonderful. It's one of those fruits. It's very rare fruit. There's not a lot of yellow fruit. Really, if you think about it, there's not a lot of yellow
right,
fruit. That's why I want
right,
to make a movie about it. The inclusivity of the yellow fruit. The idea that all the other fruits would, welcome the banana. A lot of jokes about bananas in cartoons. People are always slipping on banana peels. I love it. I always thought you'd be great as a banana. Be great as a banana.
I could be a banana, but I'd have to get in shape because usually they're long and skinny. But
Yeah, well, we're not young anymore, Dustin. We're not young anymore. We're getting, we're much older than we used to be. That's why I always tell my wife. I say, Kate, I'm older than I used to be. It's something funny that we say to each other.
what is it about you that is able to create these worlds? I mean, you're the first pioneer of the blockbuster, 3 Academy Awards. You've got this, you don't always do interviews. Let's start with that. Why don't you always do interviews?
Well, I think it takes away from the magic of the movies, the pictures. If you make a motion picture, I like to let the picture speak for itself. I think a lot of people out there, there's a lot of behind the scenes. I haven't done any commentaries. I've done no commentaries for any of my pictures because I think it's really up to the viewer. I mean, once I make the movie, you know this. Once I make the movie, I've essentially given it up to the audience, to the people. You made a great film called Sphere with Barry Levinson. It's a fantastic
Right,
picture.
right.
But once you made this picture, people decide. I don't think you ever did a commentary for Sphere.
No,
I'd love to hear your thoughts on Sphere. I don't remember.
I didn't want to give my thoughts because they were negative. They were negative. A lot of people don't realize during that film I had issues with my stool. I don't want to get into it. It's not a shit joke. It's just I was having difficult. It was a
Yeah.
difficult time being able to control myself, and that was leading up to the film. And then after that, I got put on some medication. I was able to go normally, but
Was
that's
this
all I
something
would.
that helped you though? With the swimming scenes, I would imagine it was very helpful for you because if you had all of that, fecal matter sort of built up in there, I imagine you could stay underwater for hours because you wouldn't
Right,
float. I
right. But
imagine it
then
was
you
great.
then you got to rent the pool for longer, and then you got to be able to excavate the pool, and then you
Yeah.
got to be able to be quiet the next time you do it. A lot of these movie studios, as you know, will run and gun, even though they talk about permits. They'll run and gun, and I was running and gunning before I got in the pool. So
Yeah, so that's probably why the movie. I mean, we don't have to get into it any more than this, but that's probably why the movie went over budget because they had to rent the pool longer. I think because
right,
of your. Well, now I have a whole different respect for you, and I have a whole different respect for the picture. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you.
talk about Back to the Future. because Back to the Future to me was, even with all the different movies you've made, there was something about Back to the Future that was almost as if you got the idea from the future.
Yeah, it was a great picture. Bob Gale came to me and said, "We get this idea for a picture." Bob Zemeckis, a lot of Bobs, and there's a lot of people named Bob that were involved in this picture. I actually, for a second, you remember this? I called you. I asked you, should I change my name from Steven to Bob while we're making this movie? Because I don't know if I can make this movie. It's going to be Robert J. Fox. We're going to have to try to get Michael J. Fox to change his name, but he was making Family Ties, and we were able to get him. We were just lucky. We were able to just get him. He came in and shot only one day. He did all his Back to the Future in just one day. A lot of people don't know he was doing Teen Wolf all in one day. He shot all of Teen Wolf. He shot 2 episodes of Family Ties and all of Back to the Future in one day. Michael J. Fox.
It's like an entire career in a week.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's a huge hit, and Teen Wolf was a great success. He didn't come back for the second one. It was Jason Bateman. I thought it was a great film. I still like that film. Yeah. But shooting 3 pictures in one day is something I like to do that. I started to shoot 2 movies. I did Jurassic Park. I did Schindler's List back to back. I don't recommend that. Right. I don't recommend that to anybody.
Right. Well, sometimes doing 2 movies at once is the freedom that you need to do the other one. So you start off with one, you give your thoughts, you give your spirit, your soul, but then it's almost like, turning into a break, which a break can be very, facilitative. You can feel a break, and you experience a break, and when that break happens, you jump inside it and you forget about the other film. So I could see how that's
so important. You're right, Dustin. It's so important because at some point I had to walk away from the Jurassic Park. I had to walk away from the editing of shooting Jurassic Park. We were editing Schindler's List, and so at one point I think I had ILM putting dinosaurs, in 1940s, Germany. I said, wait a second. Oh, I got all mixed up. So at one scene we had a velociraptor. It didn't make any sense, so I had to walk away. Not a bad idea, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually a really good idea. Not something for me, something for a younger director. Maybe you could produce it or something. That'd be great.
Well, I would love to do that. And I always wondered, are those animals real?
Well, they're all there's real. There's real in your imagination. But yeah, we have real dinosaurs. I mean, people say, well, the effects are so great. Well, the truth is, the T-Rex, that was a real T-Rex.
Is that right? Now, how do you store something like that? I mean,
well, it's in I think somewhere in Hawaii. I think they still have it locked up in a cage somewhere. I don't know. Once I'm done with the movie, it's not my concern. What happens to these creatures. But I'll show you. If you want to go check it out. I
would love to.
Fly out there for the week.
For the week, we could shoot a couple movies.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah, well, Roger Corman. Roger Corman would love it. I should have told Roger Corman he could have made 10 years worth of dinosaur pictures. But yeah, it's very hard keeping a dinosaur. I don't know if you've ever had an animal or any kind that's large like that. It's very difficult. The upkeep.
I've had several different chihuahuas that have all managed to bite my ankles. Talk about your imagination. Talk about what it takes to unlock what you do.
Well, it's just, it's a lot of, it's a lot of going back. It's a lot of referencing your childhood. I just made The Fabelmans, probably the most personal film I've ever made. But when I was young, an alien did visit me when I was a boy, when I was growing up in Arizona. So E.T. is directly based on my life. I did have an alien that was a friend for several months. His name was Carl, and he was actually what I changed in the story was that Carl was actually kind of a jerk. He was not a very nice alien. He stole things. He was very physically combative. So I changed that aspect of it, but everything else was absolutely true. So,
and when you started to get ready for E.T., did you know that it was just going to be a big movie? Or just, I mean, just looking at E.T. physically, the head, the neck, there's something original about that. Even though it's an alien we've never seen before. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think, well, we had Carlo Rambaldi, Carlo Rambaldi's fantastic, wasn't a fantastic effects wizard, who did one of my favorite pictures, King Kong Lives with Linda Hamilton. It's a fantastic picture.
Oh,
It's where King Kong comes back. They resuscitate him with a sort of a giant, Linda Hamilton performs a giant open heart surgery. It's fabulous. You get this beautiful Carlo Rambaldi creature. But Carlo designed E.T. Kind of with the eyes of Albert Einstein. Is that his name? Albert. It doesn't matter. One of the Einsteins, and he made the eyes sort of has that sort of sympathetic feel. But E.T. is not very cutesy. You know, he's very wrinkly. He's very almost scrotal. I said, I need something that was a cross between... That's what I said to Carlo Rambaldi. I said, I need something that is scrotal.
Now, what do you mean by scrotal? You mean like scrotum? Like scrotal? Like
yeah,
a
exactly.
scrotum-ish?
Yeah, like the scrotal, like the actual, your scrotum. I said something that's part scrotum and part Albert Einstein.
Wait a minute. Part my scrotum or just any scrotum? Because I got to
Just a generic scrotum.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, my gosh, it would be what an honor. It would be such an honor to have had your scrotum. But in fact, I did use my own scrotum as the template. So they did. So Carl, came to my home and he made a cast of my scrotal region and then put some eyes on it, and you've got E.T. You got a picture.
Is that right?
You got a picture. Yeah.
Because I think if you were to take my scrotum and try to make E.T. out of it, you would have something that looks like Yoda. Maybe.
Well, that's great. That's great. Maybe George will love that. George will. I think maybe your scrotum. You don't know with George. George is always combining celebrities. You know, he's saying, that character looks like Ernest Borgnine or whatever. So it could be that your scrotum ended up in there. I'd love to make a sequel to E.T. and have you play E.T.'s father, but just be a huge scrotum with a hat. I love it.
Or just a giant scrotum.
With that hat. Just a scrotum with that hat. I think it's beautiful.
What extent do people take in the makeup department or the special effects department? What special route do they take to be able to cast a scrotum? I mean, do you have to get on your back, or do you have to get on your stomach and lift your legs up? How are you able to do it?
Well, these guys are wizards. I remember visiting the shop, and they dangled me on these sort of giant sawhorses. So almost like I was planking. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but I was laying sort of, on my belly, facing down, so that my scrotum was kind of dangling through, kind of like a hole they cut in this platform.
Okay. Maybe
so
I'm not.
All Carl could see was my scrotum. He couldn't see me.
Maybe I'm not talking about my scrotum. Then maybe I got a different part of me I'm talking about, but which I might want to get looked at. But that's great. I mean, you're able to put together these movies. You have these ideas. You're able to facilitate these people that are able to make these movies. What does it take to be able to operate the controls, to get it all right? I mean, who do you have to trust?
Well, these are all the effects wizards. There's about 400 guys behind the wall. There's about 400 guys, all just sweaty guys with different cables everywhere, just buttons and cables, and it made a whole shitload of noise too. So it was very difficult to shoot those very, very intimate, emotional scenes. I would say Henry Thomas, who played Elliot, did a fabulous job. He's perfect for the part. I said, Elliot, this is the big scene where, E.T.'s going to die. You're going to lose your friend. So I really want you to sort of feel that, and I need you to cry for me. And he said, okay. So I said, action. And as soon as they start rolling, you hear all this goddamn noise. Jesus Christ. There's just no way around it. I mean, now it's all CG, so it's, whisper quiet. But it was really tough shooting that. Really tough. I mean, I almost came to blows with some of those guys. But that's how it is when you make pictures. When you make pictures.
And what does it take for you to turn off, to be able to finish your day and go home and just have some breakfast?
Well, at the end of the day, I shoot very quickly. As you know, when we did Hook, very, very quick. Everything is super fast. So it's I do one setup and one take of everything. Then we're out of there. I like to wrap by about 2 p.m. I don't like to work late. I like to get home. I like to take a nap, and I like to watch TV shows. I love my TV shows. I love my reality TV, and I'm in bed by 7 p.m. So it's
7 p.m. in the morning, or
7 p.m. in the morning. Sure. I mean, it depends on what kind of drugs you're taking.
Well, are you trying to insinuate? Is it the word insinuate or insinuate? What is it? How do you say it?
Insinuate?
Insinuate. Are you trying to insinuate? Are you trying to insinuate?
Insinuate.
Usually people don't interrupt the person they're getting mad at to ask how you say the word that you just said. I think that you're on the microphone a little bit. Your microphone. I think you might be touching your microphone.
Oh, is something happening to my microphone?
I'm hearing something.
Oh, Jesus.
There's something cutting in.
Oh, God.
Can you hear me?
This? How's that? Is that all right?
That's better. What happened? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's these technical issues. These goddamn guys. Again, there's a bunch of guys right now behind this wall. There's about 300 guys behind this wall, and they're operating me, because, I work a lot. And I'm very tired. So they're animating all my body parts right now as I talk.
Oh, is that right? So it's not necessarily you. This is some sort of a cast of you, some sort of a...
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm here. Right? I mean, I'm here, voice. I learned this from George Lucas. George told me, you can be in two places at once. You don't have to do all these... I mean, I love talking, obviously, but I'm very tired. I just finished shooting a picture. So I'm actually in my living room right now, napping, sort of I have my eyes closed. I'm lying down. I just had a beer, but I'm talking through a little microphone,
right?
And they're operating me. See this? I'm not doing this,
right? And how do
this is not me.
How do they do your voice? Is it AI, or are they just trying to get someone that slurs a lot? Or
well, it's voice activated. So I'm lying on my couch, and I'm talking into a microphone. And Mark over there, he's kind of screwing it up right now, but Mark, he's over there. He's puppeteering my mouth. So
puppeteering, is that right? So that's not CGI. That's puppetry.
Practical, yeah. We try to do as much practical as we can for you, because obviously it helps you. Otherwise, there'd just be a green screen. There'd be nothing here. You would have nothing to work with.
Do you exercise? Do you get on a Stairmaster or? I
sure do. Yeah, I do jujitsu.
Is that right?
Yeah, you do. That wasn't a. I realized when I said that. It's not a joke. I do jujitsu.
Right.
Are you working out? Are you staying in shape, Dustin? What do you do? What's your regimen?
I do mud baths. I stay in the mud. And it bakes out of me, any kind of stress kind of bakes out of me. And I get up, and then I got 20 guys in my backyard, but they're doing yard work and things. They're not puppeteering my mouth.
Right.
But
I'd be happy to get you one. I can get you one. I can have someone make one for you, and usually it works pretty well.
Well, I don't see if I need the need. I don't have the need. Because I get out of the mud bath. Are you okay? What's going on?
No, fine. They're having some. Go ahead. They're just having some trouble with the controls.
Oh, they're puppeteering your hands, but you don't.
No,
even
the whole
need
thing. This is all.
Is it?
This isn't really me.
I know, but the hands are very pronounced. I mean, now they're just kind of wobbling. It's like that thing. It.
There we go. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, this is it. Yeah, fantastic. That's a fantastic motion picture. Are you talking about the old one, or there's two different ones now?
Both of them have the it, so it could be either.
It is in there, yeah.
The hand. How did they do that? How do they do something like that? It seems like a simple thing, but where'd the arm
I don't know. These guys are, I just come in and say, put the camera there, set that light over there. That's great. Let's do a take. Okay, I'm going to go home and take a nap. That's my whole day. That's my whole day. I don't, they figure it out. I don't know how they do it.
Well, what do you eat? What kind of stuff do you eat? What is George? I mean, George. You look
So
so
you're always
similar to
confused, George.
George.
You talk to George. I know you and
I
George
talked the
are good
last time.
friends.
The last person I interviewed on the show was George.
Such a great guy. He's
He's
so
a great
great.
guy.
I'm very excited. By the way, I'm very excited because the new Indiana Jones is coming out. I didn't direct the new Indiana Jones, but I think it's fantastic. I think James Mangold did a fantastic job. And George, I just saw George at the premiere. It was great. Such a great time. And what does George show up wearing? Plaid shirt and white sneakers. That's George.
Right. People don't listen to their stylist because they don't have a stylist. This is the problem with people today, But what is it about filmmaking that creates a great filmmaker? I mean, do you start out as a great filmmaker and work backwards? And also, who are some of the great filmmakers that you like today?
Well, I think you just have to start. I think if you love pictures, if you love movies, just go out and make a movie. It's easy now. I mean, you just grab your phone. I know George is talking about making these little pictures. I still haven't seen them because they're so tiny. I know that you guys talk about that. He's been talking about these.
Right.
But now it's so easy to make a picture. When I was growing up, it was very difficult. You had to find the equipment. You had to beg and plead. My father, please, I just want to get this camera. I want to make these war pictures. So I think I just had that innate drive in me. One of my favorite movies is Lawrence of Arabia. This is one of my favorite films of all time. I think David Lean, it's a masterpiece, just in every aspect of it, in terms of the performance and the cinematography and the way that the story is told. I just think it's fabulous, But on the other hand, I also enjoy, the Transformers movies, which I produced, but I think Michael Bay did a great job with those. I just love watching cars turn into robots and vice versa. I think he's great. You should do one of those. You'd be great. So great.
I don't want to turn into a car.
Well, you don't have to be a car. You could be a human. You could be a friend of the robots if you want. I think it'd be great.
The only thing I want to turn into is bed. I get so tired. Sometimes I get so tired, and everybody's on my ass to use sunscreen, and I don't want to use sunscreen. Do you use sunscreen?
Sunscreen, yeah, sure I do. Yeah, I use it. I mean, if I'm shooting, when we shot Jurassic Park, we were in Hawaii, so the sun was out. Sun's out, guns out. I had my t-shirt sleeves rolled up and show everybody who's boss. I like to oil myself down. Sure, yeah. Who's by the way, who's getting on you about this? I mean, I would never give you a hard time about this.
No,
Who's giving you a hard time about this?
Well, my loved ones, my assistant, a couple people at the gym. I'll go to the gym sometimes just to get a beverage out of the machine, and then I'll just walk around and I'll leave. But I do have pressure.
You're not doing a lot of working out. You're just walking around. I mean, you're getting your steps in.
I get my steps in, but it's also like I'm showing face. I'm like,
that's great.
Here I am. I'm moving around. It's Dustin Hoffman. People come up to me. They don't ask for autographs because they're not carrying a pin. They've got their little outfits on for their working out. So, I'm just, I'm trying to do what I can, but I'm not going to wear sunscreen.
That's great. Well, you shouldn't, nor should you. I think it's great to put in an appearance. Very important, very wise what you're doing, putting an appearance, even if it's at the gym.
Right.
or taking the trash out, because eventually someone's going to say, hey, there's Dustin Hoffman. Boom, you're back in the public eye. Even if it's for, one person. It's great. I think it's great.
Yeah, it feels good. I went over to George Lucas's house. We did some peyote, and I never felt that way before in my life. And my feet swelled up in a good way. And I could hear heartbeats in hummingbirds, and it wasn't easy at first because sometimes you're overwhelmed by it. You're taken aback by your emotions, and sometimes you just want to cry. Sometimes you want to cry.
That's great. Let it out. You can cry. I mean, I cry. You cry. I like that when you're emotional. It's good. It's powerful.
But if you're emotional, you're going to scare the hummingbirds away. You've got to contain what it is that is about you. I remember Susan Sarandon came up to me once at a party, and she said, the reason I don't drink milk is because I don't like it. And I said, well, what about calcium? She says, I don't worry about calcium. Calcium will take care of itself. And that was it.
That's great.
So
yeah,
beautiful.
Which goes back to potassium. Potassium takes care of itself. It all takes care of itself.
Right.
You don't have to do the work. You just, you go to the gym, take your shirt off, go get yourself a beverage, walk around. Everything takes care of itself. There's nothing to worry about.
Right. Well, I think so. What do you think of those scooters that ride down the sidewalks that everybody can rent? What do you think about that? You think it's...
I think, I don't use those scooters, not because I'm above it. I just feel it's very unsanitary. I don't want to touch the handles. I shudder to think, what people have been doing with their hands, and then they're putting their hands on the handlebars. There's got to be feces and all kinds of disgusting things on there. Also, it's a real eyesore. I mean, they're everywhere. You just see them littering yards in the middle of streets. It seems very very bad for the environment.
All right.
I don't know. Have you used these scooters? Or you?
I was going to use one of the scooters one time, but I wasn't able to figure out the credit card and how you input it. And I know you're supposed to slide it, but I might have slid it on the wrong side. So I never did ride any of the motor scooters. I don't think they're motor scooters. Are they motor scooters, or they're kind of just electric?
I think it's some form of AI. I mean, I think they're sentient. I mean, because I know there's a little delivery truck now that has eyeballs on it that goes up and down, Santa Monica Boulevard and Sunset, and will bring you your food. So I think that once you pay, it's a pay to play thing. I think they're aware of who you are. I think they actually have thoughts and feelings. It's very interesting.
I was always amazed that more people didn't kick those things over. Like, you just kick them over in spite of their own life,
I do it all the time. I mean, I used to do it until I discovered that they have feelings, So now I welcome them in. I don't touch the handlebars, but if I see one out there, come on in, have dinner, sit with me and Kate and the kids. It's great.
Are you talking about the little boxes with eyes, or are you talking about the scooters?
Both. We welcome them all. I mean, look, I made the movie, Artificial Intelligence, which 20 years ago had sort of predicted everything that's happening now with ChatGPT and all this stuff with the AI. So I'm a friend of the robot. I mean, they're my friends. They're our friends. I think we also have to be very kind to them, because, otherwise there'll be some kind of uprising, and then we're in sort of a Terminator situation. You don't want that,
No, you don't want that. You almost don't want any of it. But I understand how it's a sign of the times and what we're up against. But how do you feel about the writers' strike and, the possibility that AI is going to write all the scripts, and how do you think that's going to affect things and all that?
No, I think it's great. Writers are the backbone of all motion pictures. I couldn't do what I do without my great writers, Tony Kushner, David Koepp, etc. I worked with David Koepp for many years. He's a fantastic writer. And Tony Kushner and I have done some marvelous films, obviously Fabelman's being among my favorites. But I think there's, without the words, there's no film. I mean, I think George will probably disagree, because he makes more visual sort of pictures, and that's fine, but they should get what they deserve. I'm a multi-billionaire, so it doesn't really affect me personally. I'll go on. I've done everything I needed to do, but they should get paid, I think.
They should get paid, but what happens if they don't? What happens if they write the movies themselves with the AI, or at least come close to it? Because they can come close to it, and you just take this word out or this word out or whatever. Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like cheating on a test. I think eventually you'll be able to figure it out. If all the students are getting straight A's, then something's amiss. So I don't think people want to see artificial intelligence created movies. I think someone will do it as an experiment. It'll be interesting. It'll be a curiosity, but I don't think it's here to stay. I mean, would you be in an AI picture? Would you do an AI picture?
But this is, I would say probably yes, because If the script is right, the script is right. If the
Yeah, who's
script
to
is,
tell? And how do
you
you
know,
know? How could you write? How could you tell? I could just say I wrote it. You wouldn't know if I didn't write it or not.
right. So what's next for you?
Well, I'm sort of, kind of looking at some things right now. I'm going to do ET2, Return to Earth. And I really would love to talk to you about this because I really think you'd be great as ET's dad. I mean, we started talking about the testicle thing, and I think there's something there. And because you have that hat, and it reminded me of Popeye Doyle, I think we could do some sort of a detective kind of French Connection ET crossover, which I think would be fantastic. I think you'd be great in that. So great.
What would I wear?
Well, nothing. I mean, it'd be a big sort of. We'd have you wear a potato sack just temporarily, and then the CG artist would later, make a giant sort of testicle-looking thing with eyes. But you'd be in there. It'd be your performance. So
When you say testicle-looking thing, do you mean like the balls and no hair? Or are you talking about one ball being a little larger than the other ball? I mean,
that's
what's
great. That's a great
typical?
detail. Yeah, I think we'll talk about it. I think we'll get the effects team together, and we'll all sit down and we'll have meetings about it, and we'll talk about it. But your input would be invaluable. I mean, it'll be you playing the character, so it'll be wonderful. But I think he's an elder. I think we've never really met ET's friends or family, so this is a really wonderful opportunity to explore that. I think you'd be great at that.
Well, I would be more than honored, and I would do my best. And I would even be willing to take on 2 castings of my ball sack and my shaft and whatever else.
Great.
If you want to do it twice, do it twice. You want to do it even if you want to do it 3 times, I would be willing.
Well, you should do it a few times. We'll do it 3 times. We'll do 2. We'll use the 2 for the movie. And then just like Jimi Hendrix had a cast made of his penis years ago, you could have one to keep for yourself. You could put it on the mantle. I mean, that's a great conversation piece, really. If somebody comes over, what is this? Oh, it's my testicles.
Right. I wonder if people would even wonder what it was. I think they would just instinctively know because mine look like mine. Mine look like you would guess. Mine look like something else. It was something else out of not necessarily a horror magazine, but sure, something that has a lot of action and a lot of oil.
Well, it's a fun. Well, that's a fun game to play though. You could make casts of different people's testicles. It's a fun party game. Whose testicle do you think this belongs to? Well, it's got to be Dustin because it looks unusual. And by the way, you don't oil yourself anywhere except for there. That's interesting. That's a very interesting little tidbit.
I don't even oil there.
Oh, it's natural.
It's a natural drainage.
That's great. You should bottle that. I would buy that. You could make some real money in your later life. That's great.
I should. I really should. And if I did, I'd send one to you. And what is that thing that they call Secret Santa? Because maybe combining a Secret Santa with the testicle moldings could be, a real game changer, I think, for the holidays.
It's a great idea. Oh, Jesus. My microphone's screwing up again.
It's the puppet arms. There are some consequences to having your entire body CGI'd and puppeted, and there's some disadvantages.
We're still working out the kinks, but I appreciate you, putting up with it.
And I really appreciate coming on the show, and this was really great. I'm so glad I got to catch up with you. I've seen you since Hook. I see you a couple times since Hook, but we never really got to talk. And it's great to see you, and I wish you the best. You want to give everyone your social media handles?
Yeah, sure. Well, I would, but I'm not on social media at all. So it's much to my relief. I don't have to deal with that. So, but Dustin, it's always great. I'm sorry for the technical issues. I'm starting a short circuit, so I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, Steven Spielberg. Thank you so much. I'm Dustin Hoffman. You're watching the Jeff Richards Show. For more episodes, go to thejeffrichardshow.com, and we thank you for coming on and tuning in. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, and goodbye.